Good.
I've seen it. Seen it. Thank you. Maybe I've admitted you. Are you leaving, Rukia?
Yes.
Okay. We will talk to you later then.
All right. Hold them.
Yeah. Nani dark. Excuse me. Could they please turn down the music? Wanaweza turn down the music tunaanza meeting. Maybe it's really dark. I hope wako utaonekana.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you. I saw your mouth moving. Okay, I can hear you now.
Hi, Dan. Dan. Hi, everyone. We're just waiting for a few more people to come in, and then we'll just be on our way.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mary.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for attending. I think we can just begin as you wait for the other attendees. So I am Mary Tago. I teach English and literature in Kisumu County. And today I will moderate the meeting. We've been looking at assessing learning, which is a course provided by the British Council. We all can attest to the fact that this topic is very important and it has attracted many researchers and studies. So in module 1, we looked at inclusive assessment approaches. Then in module 2, there was engaging with the assessment for learning. And now the third module is understanding teaching for tests. So that is what I'm going to moderate on. And under it, we shall discuss testing and learning, tasks in tests, and then tests that engage. Now, let's move on to the objectives of this module. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So how to make your test preparation effective. Number 2, look into the effects of testing on teaching and learning. And 3, reflect on different types of test tasks. And consider how to adapt these so that test preparation is more enjoyable and motivational for your students. We now want to look at some guiding questions on testing and learning. The next slide. Thank you. I want everyone to have a look at those guiding questions. And then you can respond to any or all of them now that all of us have looked at module 3. Or if you can't, then you can look at any that you would like to respond to, either orally or in the chat box. Question 1 is, how do your learners feel about tests? I believe most of us, if not all, are teachers. So whenever you want to give tests, how do your learners feel? Number 2, do you think you spend too much time preparing learners for tests? Do you used to prepare learners for tests? Question number 4, reflect on the last exam you conducted. Reflect on the last exam that you conducted. And how did you ensure it helped lead to positive washback? And then lastly, identify skills that are useful in the teaching of reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Thank you. So Can you think about those questions and share them, please? If you want to share orally, it's okay. If you want to use the chat box, it's also okay. Welcome, Kip.
Yes, lakini is coming.
Kip, welcome. We are looking at the guiding questions on the screen.
Thank you.
Anybody who wants to share something? Or are you all writing in the chat box?
Just a bit, Mary.
Pardon, Liz?
One person has written, I think this is the answer to the first question. There's a comment on the charts to the first question. How do your learners feel about tests? Leonard has said, I think they feel anxious. Lydia has said, some of my learners get stressed when it is time to do exams. I think those are the only ones on the chat. I think others can unmute and say something.
Anybody who wants to share orally, you can go right ahead, unmute, and then share.
I think we can just continue.
No?
They'll continue giving their thoughts on the chat.
Okay, maybe to say something.
Yes.
Yeah, about my learners. My good, as in my well-performing learners, they look forward to tests because I think they are more prepared, and also they know that they are going to perform well. So they look forward to tests. But my low-performing learners get stressed, maybe because they fear they'll fail, or maybe they have not prepared adequately. So personally, that is how I view my learners when it comes to tests. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lydia, for sharing about your learners. Do we have another person who would like to share? Can pick any of the questions. Any other person?
I can say something.
Go right ahead, Liz.
Second question says, do you think you spend too much time preparing learners for tests? The 844 system, I think we can all attest to the fact that periods to exams, you go to class and your learners tell you, give us some time to revise, by which they imply that they need specific time for preparing for tests, when ideally, I think everything that you do daily in class, the formative assessments that you do, prepare you for that summative test. And so for me personally, I wouldn't say I spend too much time preparing learners for tests, because I think it is a continuous thing. And so I would not need to set aside time specifically for preparation for an exam.
Thank you very much, Liz, for that contribution. I think I'll also say something. just as a summary of almost everything. So just like Lydia said, some learners like tests and perform well in them, while others detest them, especially those who do not perform well. You talk of exams and they freak out. Therefore, a teacher should continually conduct assessment that is formative to avoid relying entirely on test results. And another thing, learners can prepare for tests. There's this question 2, 3. What strategies do you use to prepare learners for tests? Nobody talked about that, but I hope you can still hear me. Warning me of my low internet. Please, can you hear
You're
me?
doing okay. Yes, you're doing okay.
Okay, so I expected you to share the strategies that you use, but I think Liz has mentioned that her learners always need time. So we will say the strategy is to allow them to do the work. Maybe they do it individually or as a group. So learners can prepare for tests together while the teachers offer support by giving out tasks and getting feedback, especially on where the learners need more practice. Another thing that we do as teachers is the giving out of past papers. Past papers can be useful for self-study or homework, and learners can be trained to check their own answers. I know majority of our students always want the teacher to say the answer, but we are encouraged that when we give past papers, let the students be taught how to search for answers. I'm a believer of the fact that if a student were to search for, were to interact with those books and get the answers, then they will understand more what they are reading, other than a teacher going to class and then revising a paper. They should do it. But I know we have various strategies that work for us. Another thing I want to talk about that was there in module 3, in unit 1, is the issue of wash back. I understand it can also be backwash. And we learned that this is the influence of testing on teaching and learning. And you are told that it can be both positive and negative. We are told that there is a way your test should look like, or your preparation should look like for you to create a positive wash back. For example, we are told that a test should be clearly linked to the learning objectives, or else the students will not, if they don't see that relationship, then they don't take it seriously. And then you're told to give learners time, adequately prepare, just like Liz shared. Then tests should give learners specific, helpful feedback that help them to develop, and not just to give a letter grade. We are also told that to make those tests have positive washback, then we are to test abilities that we want our learners to develop. For example, if you want to develop critical thinking, then ensure your test is about it. If it's true, false, of course, there's no critical thinking there. Maybe how we'll have some critical thinking. Then we are told that the English test should relate to real life learning and skills. For example, summary, debating, the real life. We try to make it real life. Okay, that is that. It means, therefore, that test we can also have a negative washback. I don't know if somebody will share something about negative washback that can be brought by tests. Anyone? Negative washback? Is there something on the chat box, Liz?
No, I don't see anyone sharing on the chat. We encourage you to do so. Put your thoughts there, then we can come back to them. The question is on negative washback. I believe, yes, Mary. Nancy says that students can become nervous, Mary, as negative washback.
That is right. That's Vivian. Is it Vivian? That is
That's Nancy.
quite.
Nancy.
Oh, Nancy Akinyi, thank you for that. That is right. So, because of exams or tests, just like Lydia said, the students get nervous, they get tense. That is a negative washback. Others are like learners may spend all their time focused on the test at the expense of other materials in the curriculum. We also found out that teachers can end up teaching the test. So if the test is about probably, let's say, paper 3, then you are all into essays, the writing at the expense of the other English skills like grammar and the other areas. So teachers can end up teaching the test. And then, oh, thank you. You had said that, Liz, thank you. And then, so that means that actual language learning can take second place in the classroom. Okay, there are several, if you go back. Let's move to the next slide, please. Okay, that is what I decided, that some learners like tests and perform well in them, while others detest them. Therefore, a teacher should continually conduct assessment to avoid relying entirely on test results. And then I also talked about learners can prepare for tests together while the teachers, remember right now we are talking a lot about peer teaching. While the teachers offer support by giving out tasks and getting feedback on where the learners need more practice. And then we talked about the use of the past papers in preparation for tests, and then I've talked about washback. Maybe the other thing that you're supposed to talk about was the skills that are useful for the teaching of reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Nobody shared that. Maybe you can now. The useful skills that are important when teaching reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Which skills go with these particular areas of teaching, that is reading, writing, speaking, and listening? In reading, what skills What useful skills are we likely to teach? Leonard talks about communication. Communication skills, will that be reading or speaking? Intensive reading, that is from Liz. Maybe Liz, you can go right ahead with the chat box and tie them to the areas, whether whatever is given comes from reading or writing, speaking or listening.
Okay, thank you. We have Leonard there has spoken about communication. I believe that would be tied to maybe listening and a bit of reading. Then we have intensive reading vis-a-vis extensive reading, which speaks to reading, the reading section. CISO has talked about reading aloud, a very key skill in the lower classes. That again is on reading and listening and speaking. And then we have someone here talking about pronunciation. Adinda talks about pronunciation, that is under listening and speaking. Nancy is speaking about, let me see, comprehension, and she says that is tied to reading. And then finally, I think that's the last one. Yes, back to you, Mary.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the participants who have participated there. Let's have the next slide so that we remind ourselves of the same. The next slide, please. The next slide. Next slide.
I think it is there, Mary. There's one showing reading and writing.
Oh.
Yes.
Then it means they are indicating that my internet is unstable.
Okay,
So,
let me just
go through them kindly.
Okay, so under reading, we have scanning, skimming, reading for detail, using vocabulary and grammar, being familiar with authentic materials, and comprehension of new topics and ideas. Remember, we are teaching in a system that is theme-based. And so every time you're doing a comprehension or you're doing reading, there's a topic that you're supposed to espouse on. And so you can bring it out under that. In writing, which is very practical, we can talk about filling of forms. I know we do a lot of handwriting in the lower grades and in Form 1. And then organization of ideas into paragraphs. Paragraphing skill is one thing that we really cover a lot of. Of course, there's spelling. Again, use of paragraphs and use of vocabulary, which in most cases we draw from the passages they've read in the week or the vocabulary they've read in the week. And so that is something that we can still cover. Can we go to the next slide? If it has maybe grammar and the other skills. Speaking, thank you. Speaking, listening and speaking we cover together, and so those skills in most cases are done together. We have listening for details and listening to phone conversations, prediction, listening to gist, to mention just a few. And then under speaking, we have asking questions, taking part in real life dialogues. And this is very important because you notice that one of the things that we talked about under test features was that it must relate to real life for that learning to be commendable. So fluency, ability to speak about a range of topics, and provision of descriptions. So those are those are some of the skills that we can cover. And when we were doing the course, remember, We were looking at the skills that you can cover in those areas or the activities that you can take part in as you are teaching these skills. Maybe you can put that on the chat. Which activities do you normally take your learners through as you teach those sections? Kefrin, I see your comment. I'm sorry about that, but we are very grateful that even though you're traveling, you're trying to be with us. So let's hope your network holds as we continue with our discussions. Mary, are you stable now?
Yes.
Okay, you can take it back.
Okay, thank you so much. And then, of course, we should note that it is a good thing to balance test preparation with learning so that learners aren't bored and can see the relevance of what they are learning. They see they are being taught listening and they can use it in these places. Then it will motivate them. And like teaching what is not there in real life situation. Okay, so we can move on to the next activity. What we've done so far was Unit 1, testing and learning. We shall now move to Unit 2 and 3, that is tasks in tests and tests that engage. So there again, before we embark on the discussion, we have some questions here that you can take time to read, and then you respond orally or in the chat box. So question number 1 is discuss some question types that you use in your tests, giving their pros and cons. Question 2, what fun tasks have you ever given your students instead of intimidating tests? Okay, 3, how do you engage your learners in peer teaching and learning while you assess them? And the 4th one is, how would you get all the learners more involved when you are giving your assessments? And then we have, what do you do to make your fun assessments more successful? And then we have the last one. This you'll answer last once you are done with the first. What is your takeaway tip from this module? So we'll give you a chance to reflect on them, and then you give us your responses. Is there anyone who wants to share? Okay, Liz talks of gap fillers. I can't see it now. Liz, just go right ahead and read what you have, please.
Sorry. Gap fillers for grammar, matching tests for vocabulary, and open-ended type questions for literary discussions. And then Leonard says he mostly uses multiple choice questions. I look forward to seeing other people share on the chat, or just lift up your hand and mute your mic and talk to us. Lydia says she uses role playing for listening and speaking. Back to you, Mary.
Thank you so much. All the participants who have responded to some of those questions. Majority of you responded to the first one. I don't know if I can give more time. Davis also talked for a role play. Thank you, Davis. Yes, I also use a lot of role play, especially when I'm teaching the set text. These are the questions. And participants forgot to mention the advantages and disadvantages of these question types. Anybody?
Maybe to
Somebody
comment,
wants Okay.
maybe to comment on role play, especially with the set texts. I think this because at the end of the day you want to assess the learner's understanding of the plot, the learner's ability to analyze these books very well. So when you allow role play to take place, even if you're doing what do they call it, hot sitting, another
Yes.
of a very good of those practices, these learners are giving you the understanding of the text, but at the same time, you're assessing their ability to speak really well or their ability to listen very well. So it's one of those activities that you use, and you can use it to assess multiple tasks, multiple skills rather, at the same time. So I think it's one of those that works really well.
I agree with you, Madam Elizabeth. It also checks on the comprehension, I believe, of the text. If they role play, you can also get if they really understood the section of the text that you want them to role play, or even if it were a comprehension. Thank you so much. I saw, I can't remember, but several. Oh, Lydia, you're welcome. Go right ahead and share.
Okay, I want to ask, is multiple choice a question type, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I think it is multiple choice is easy to mark. If you have set it for the students, it's easy to mark, but it takes time to set it.
You are right, Lydia. Thank you very much. We find that coming up with those multiple choices, they have to be related. They have to be quite related so that there's only a little thing that makes the difference. If they are far off things, then it will be so easy to get the right answer. So Lydia is right to say that though multiple choice questions are so easy to mark, it is difficult to test. Is there another person? Liz, I think somebody has commented on the chat box.
Yes, this is Vivian, and once I'm done reading, Vivian, if you're able to, maybe you can unmute your mic and just speak a little bit of what you're saying. But she says she would rather group the learners and then have them discuss. If she can speak a bit more about it. Vivian?
Vivian, kindly unmute. Though I have a feeling that she's referring to our first questions, the guiding questions, that the one that was asking about strategies that teachers use to prepare for exams. Vivian, let me not speak for you. Vivian, you're welcome.
Okay, I was trying to say, sometimes when you have learners who want to test them, you can put them in groups. And then, for example, if you are discussing like a story, and then in their specific groups, you can pose different questions to them so that they can read, understand, and then answer.
You are right, Lydia. Putting students in groups to discuss and then share. That is, in fact, what we've been talking about. If you attend English seminars, conferences, they're really talking about peer teaching and learning. So thank you, Vivian, for that. Is there another person who would like to share something?
Yes, I would like to share something.
Go right ahead, please.
Okay, to add on to Lydia's point, this is what I do mostly when it comes to this topic. We do the group discussions, like Lydia said, and then after that, I always have kind of like a presentation or like an open discussion where now a question can be put out and then students, learners answer randomly just to test how attentive they were in the discussions and how attentive they were during the presentation of different groups. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irene. Oh, I must. Okay, I liked your accent so much. But okay, your strategy is quite interesting. I know a majority of the teachers do that. The students sit in groups, they discuss, after which they share what they have. And as we said earlier, you can take note of the areas that you would, that several of them have a problem with, and then you tackle that. It even eases the work. Majority of our classes are so large. So if they come in groups, you assess them in groups, just remember to make your notes and then tackle the mistakes. That will be great. Thank you, Irene. Do you have another person?
From the chat, Lydia says true or false questions for listening and speaking and for comprehension.
Sure. Okay, that's right. And then maybe we need to note that they are good. They are easy to mark. True or false. We use them a lot when we are testing comprehension. But there are only two options. A student can guess and get almost everything right. So that is the con, rather the disadvantage. Okay. I know you use several other strategies. I mean, several other question types. But did you tackle the other questions? Like question 2 we have, what fun tasks have you ever given your students instead of intimidating tests? Okay. In what participants have given out, like peer teaching could be part of fun tasks. It only depends on how you organize it so that the students enjoy. That will be fun. But I'd rather you give me more. And then we have yet another question. How do you engage your learners in peer teaching? I think Irene talked about that. They present, probably, they discuss, after which they present, take your notes, tackle their common mistakes. That could work. And then we have this question, how will you get, I'm searching for questions that have not been tackled. How will you get all the learners more involved? Okay. Yeah, Liz, there's somebody who is, I think, it could be a response to that. In the chat box, please.
It's Adinda. And Adinda says, use simple wording, appreciate the learners. They have deliberate efforts to engage them and probe them also And I think once you do the probing, you are involving all of them. I think very good response. You can talk on it.
Okay. I have a problem with my, okay, it is stable now. So I'm sorry, but please read that again.
It says use simple wording, appreciate the learners, have deliberate efforts to engage them, and then probe them to involve them in whatever you're doing.
Okay. I think that is quite what we can do. As a teacher, let the students not see you as, how do you call it? An examiner. You are there to test, to give a grade. I think you can be there as part of the team, as an encourager. So that in module 3, I hope you remember, there are 2 scenarios when you are given an example of a teacher in class. The students, she's organized some competition. It is a team competition. And then she's there cheering, go, go. You can do it, go. So part of that is what our participant has talked about. That is very important. Yeah. There's somebody, before I continue, somebody has commented something. Vivian?
It says,
Okay,
yeah, go ahead, Vivian.
okay, I was trying to say that sometimes it is good for you to prepare the learners on areas you are going to test them, so that at least they can go through the task. And then when it comes to asking questions, at least they have a clue of what you're going to ask. That builds confidence in them.
Okay, thank you for that. I also believe I'm doing the same. So that, okay, they comprehend more what you want of them. They understand it more. Oh, thank you. How, is there any question that has not been? No, the other one I want, the very last one, I want you to talk about it last. Okay, I think the participants have been wonderful. They have shared a lot. That is okay. Maybe other things that I can add is that as a teacher, always be well prepared. Know what you are going to do in class. I believe right now we are getting away from just going there. You stand in front and then you teach and then you go away. We are trying to make our learners be collaborative. And then we are trying to have peer teaching and learning. And we are trying to get involved and encourage the learners. That is what we are trying to do in our classes. So in order to be effective, of course, you must be well prepared. And then somebody talked of giving clear instructions of what you want. If the students do not get exactly what you want, then of course, they won't perform the task well. And then always give an example. And then ask one of the students to repeat the instruction. I believe you remember how that did it. Ask one student to repeat the instruction in order to check on the comprehension. And then clarify if you note that there is any confusion. And remember to ask the entire class if they understand. Another thing we can do is always when the students are participating on these tasks that you are assessing, have one learner keeping track of the points, especially when you decide to make them competitive, which will be quite interesting. And then somebody, maybe a learner or two, write some mistakes that the class makes, and randomly check with the individual learners in the classroom to check their comprehension. So participants from this, of course, it is wonderful to have our classes participate in active learning and peer help. It is really wonderful. Now we can talk about that final question as we come to the end. What is your takeaway tip from this module? I don't know, Elizabeth, do you have some in the chat box before we look at that final one?
Yes, there's something. My network is really up and down, but Margot said learner-centered. I think how to get them interested is to make the lesson learner-centered. Lydia said to make learning fun and successful, you can use games like Kahoot or make your testing fun and worthwhile. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, we are moving to learner-centered classrooms as opposed to the traditional classrooms where the teacher was the author of knowledge. Thank you, Margot, for your participation. And then Lydia, games like Kahoot, this is something that is really coming. We have to make our classrooms enjoyable. We have to make our learners yearn to come, look forward to come to the next class. Thank you very much. And now that final question as we wind up, the final question, what is your takeaway tip from this module? Now, Liz, you've talked about debate of language. Sure. What is your takeaway tip from this module? Module 3, your takeaway tip, teaching languages with real life examples. Thank you, Madam Elizabeth. Yes, real life examples make the students relate with what you are teaching. Another person? I believe that is a takeaway. Give productive tests. Nancy? Nancy, would you mind talking about that, please?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Making
ahead.
sure that the test you are giving have a purpose. Explain the purpose of the test to your learners, and also before giving them, ensure that you've given them notice so that they can do revision towards the same. That way, we are going to achieve the productivity of the test.
Thank you very much. That is clear. She has explained it well. Madam Elizabeth, kindly assist me with the chat box.
Okay. On the chat box, Catherine says, "Don't be a lecturer, be a guider for sure." Antonine says, "Be practical." Lydia says, "Make the assessment fun to make the learners comfortable and look forward to tests." Very true. And Adinda says, "Fully engage your learners in testing. For example, you can use peer follow-up." I wish you would clarify on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, all the participants who have participated. I welcome somebody to say something before I wind up.
Can I add a point?
Yes, please go right ahead, Irene.
Yeah, we were talking about how to make tests fun or something like that.
Yes.
So I'm not a teacher, I'm a mentor. So I don't really administer tests the way you guys do in the traditional way. So for example, when I mentor and we're talking about a topic, it could be anything, teenage pregnancy or even mental health. So when we do the group work and then we go into participatory learning of explaining each point, I always liked for them to give examples after every point they give. And this is because I maintain a rural setup where sometimes even the English language can be a bit complex. It can be a bit complex for some of these kids, not because they can't understand, but it's because they can't understand how to expound on points. So most of the time I try to, so when I'm testing them, I try to have them be the examples of the answers they give. So I'm like, in my opinion, this is what I think this means. And I think most of the time by the end of it, they always understand it because they dumb it down to who they are at home, at school, in the environments. So most of the time in my type of testing, they end up understanding a situation more or understanding a word more, or even breaking down the English words or the English sentences that they couldn't understand. I just wanted to add on that, that's how I do it too.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Okay.
very much, Irene. And it's
Thank-
basically what we also do. So teachers are mentors and mentors are teachers. I call it participatory learning. We do the same. We call it collaborative learning. We do the same thing. Thank you. We also do a lot of scaffolding, breaking the topics into smaller parts that the students can easily understand. So I realize basically we do the same things. Thank you so much.
Just a bit back to the chat.
Uh-huh.
Catherine, I don't know if you're still on the road, but Catherine says, let them first she said, let the learners do the activities as you give instructions and guide them. Then she added and said, let them sometimes come up with their own tests to guide you where they have not understood well. I think somebody had mentioned something about being so learner-centered. I think she's building up on that.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it works also for me. I give a comprehension and then I tell them, can you come up with the questions from that comprehension? It works wonderfully. So you realize that they are not just passive recipients. They can do these things. They can come up with the tests too. Thank you very much. This is my conclusion. So sometimes you can assess learners when they are relaxed and comfortable. And in this case, they look forward to the next class, just like several of the participants have talked about. Teaching well means constantly reevaluating your approaches and trying new ones. So it is possible that assessment can be done outside of the formal testing. And I just to give it a try so that we run away from being that examiner, that serious examiner in formal setups in an exam room. Out these informal assessments. I think that is what is coming. That is what CBC is all about. I believe so. So I would welcome Liz to have a word or any other person. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Thank you, Mary, for the session. Thank you for the wonderful approach to the discussion. I think we've been reminded really well of the areas that we talked about, and you realize that this is really core to what we are doing, and like she says, what we are about to do with CBC next year. And so it is something we can constantly come back to. Adinda, thank you for your well wishes. Vivian, thank you. We've equally enjoyed your company. And we hope that what you've taken away is something that will help with whatever is coming ahead. Like we were told, this is in preparation for something. So I want to thank everyone for coming. I don't know if there's anyone who wants to say anything before we close this and look forward to communication from the office on what will come next. Lydia, thank you so much. We appreciate your presence. And Mary, she says thanks for an insightful presentation. Davis says it was a wonderful session. Thank you on behalf of Mary. And I think if there's nothing else, she can say her goodbyes and we leave it at that. Dan, thank you so much for your presence. Mary, your goodbyes.
Okay, let me once again thank all the participants. Without you, we would not make it. And thank you for all that you shared. I believe we all benefited from Module 3. Thank you very much, Madam Elizabeth Odhiambo, for being my host. Thank you, everyone. And have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.